Thanks for joining us.
Talkline Network Radio, America's longest-running Jewish broadcast network, the voice of the Jewish community.
Welcome to the podcast. You are now tuned in to this episode of our podcast. Today we are going to interview some of the greatest and most influential minds in our field. And now, please welcome your host.
You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
And we're back. We're having her back, Marianne Kuharski. She's with a wonderful organization, Prolife, across America. They're 36 years old, double chai, and they do amazing work in trying to help people have babies. And in fact, they have very cheerful commercials and very cheerful billboards. They're also known as the billboard people. So Marianne, welcome back.
Thank you, Zev. It's an honor to be with you and to be with your listeners as well. Thank you. And I love that you told me the story about the 36 being to life and how that's such a good number. So that cheers me up to know I'm going into our 36th year here at Prolife across America with that kind of a send-off. Thank you.
Because 18 stands for chai, which means life, and 36 is double chai, double life.
Double life. I love it.
Exactly. So and you're doing more than double life because you help so many babies get born, because some people don't know they have an option that if they're not able to have a child on their own, you'll explain what you do, how you're able to help mothers who are contemplating not having a child, having an abortion, and you don't get political. I know, but you help them navigate as far as if they want to have a baby, you'll help them do it, correct?
That's correct, Zev. And it's not just mom. Sometimes it's family. Sometimes it's a whole family. We hear from, in fact, Zev, our most famous secret is that about 40% of the callers to our hotline are men. They might be married to the woman. They might be the boyfriend. They might be the father. Sometimes we'll hear from divorced fathers. We just had one call the other day saying, my ex-wife is pushing our daughter, and she's in college, to have an abortion. He said, I feel bad that, this is happening the way it is. But he said, I saw your ad and I would really like to know what I can offer her. I hate to have a baby's life being lost in this abortion. So men are natural providers and protectors. And what we offer, yes, we're non-political, but we put billboards out. We put radio ads out. Thank you, Zev, for inviting us to be part of your station in New York as well. And just letting people know that there's alternatives. We have over 3,000 agencies across the United States that we can hook into. So if someone calls us from New York, from Albany, from Minnesota, from Seattle, Washington, from California, wherever it is, we can get them the closest clinic that will offer everything from confidential counseling. Sometimes that's all they need because they're being pressured or pushed to have an abortion. Maybe they need medical care. Maybe they need a free ultrasound. Maybe they need help with their rent just to get through, because they're panicky over welcoming a new baby. We just want to help both the mom and the baby, or as in the case of a family, we'll help the family too. So we even offer parenting classes after the baby's born in case they need some, a little boost to get them started in family life.
As you can pamper them afterwards.
Right.
Now, I do have to say your commercials are very cheerful. So when you hear the baby singing, it's really a breath of fresh air to hear, because you hear so many things about crime and this problem, that problem. You hear something very, very cheerful. Yep. You're also known as the billboard people. How'd you get to know that name? I thought you'd be the pro-baby people. How'd you get the name of the billboard people?
Well, it started 36 years ago, and someone was objecting to one of our billboards that was on a highway in Minnesota. And at that time, we were known as Prolife Minnesota. We hadn't expanded nationally. And so it actually hit the Minnesota airwaves, and we were on one of our popular, I think it was NBC or CBS stations, and our local broadcaster showed a picture of this billboard and talked about who was upset that we were advertising on this billboard. And he said, and the billboard is sponsored by Prolife Minnesota, the billboard people. And that name stuck with us ever since, and we put it on our letterhead, and everyone knows we do about anywhere from 9,000 to 12,000 billboards a year across the United States. So we're known as the billboard people. And of course, our second claim to fame is that we love to be on radio. We want people to see and to hear the pro-life messages that might get them to stop and think and say, oh, I'm not pregnant, but I know someone who could use this information, like we had an uncle call one time and say, my niece knows I got money and she wants me to pay for an abortion. And I heard your commercial, what kind of help can I tell her you can offer her? So men are natural providers and protectors. They want to help.
We should also maybe add a moniker, the radio people to the billboard people, maybe the billboard and radio, or the radio and billboard people. So
you want us to be famous, right, Zev?
Absolutely. Now, you're on different radio stations. Have you ever been censored where people say, now you're a pro-life mess, you don't get involved in the abortion debate. You're just saying, if you want to have a baby, we're going to help you. Right. Have you ever been censored where stations won't take your ads?
I won't say the radio stations haven't censored us or blocked us, but we don't have that kind of money to be on all the stations, so I haven't given them all a fair shake. But I will say we have been, now the new term is canceled out, but I call it blacklisting. But we have been blacklisted, and most recently by a major outdoor ad company, which means that we're not just in like Minneapolis, St. Paul, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Francisco, areas of Los Angeles, Albuquerque, New Mexico. All those areas were blocked out by one major outdoor ad company.
Wow. Are you suing them?
No, we are not going to take donor money and put that in lawsuits. We aren't. We did have a pro bono law firm that question their decision to do that because we hadn't changed any ads. What they did was they tried to, there's a different way of canceling where they don't cancel you and refuse your ad. What they do is they double or triple the price and move you into a political category. And I knew if we moved into that category, we could lose our non-political status and our nonprofit status. And I also can't afford double and triple those rates. So, of course, we refused to do that. And so that just meant that they lost our money and we put it in other money, like we'll say Zev Brenner's Talkline.
Absolutely. No, we appreciate that. But I was just wondering, because it bothers me. In other words, they won't come out and say, we're not going to take your ad. They're just going to raise your rates or put you.
That's right.
So no, they had you in a different category and they moved you to a political category, is what you're saying.
And it's not even, yep, exactly. It's what I know is as a political, and they even wanted us to put a political statement on our ad that other political, when they're advertising for candidates, people often have to say, this ad sponsored by so-and-so. Well, our name and our phone number are already on the ads, and I refused to put another disclaimer on there because I knew that was a political disclaimer. So, what can I say? We just are not going to be controlled by that type of organization. So we just have to move around them. We found other billboard companies, and then we, as I say, we might put it into radio or and we pray. I believe in the power of prayer.
No, absolutely. I'm just shocked by it, but again, nothing surprises us today.
And this was a big major one. It was one of the largest outdoor ad companies in the United States. So it was no laughing matter. When we got that news, it was like, as I say, about 25 major cities they have a monopoly in. So what we have to do is go around those cities and with other outdoor ad companies. So those companies benefited,
Now, with the new administration in the White House, that should make it easier for your message to resonate, even though you're not political, but people are more into wokeism is a little less. I hope it's a little less than it was, and people more into family values. We're non-political, Zev, but I will say, in talking to some of our representatives of some of our other companies we work with, whether it's the radio stations or the outdoor ad companies, they have even confided to me, it's like a breath of one guy said this is like a breath of fresh air, that they feel like they can move forward with their business and relationships. So I think that's kind of helped all of us, and it doesn't hurt any to have a vice president of the United States get up in front of a national audience and say, have more babies, have more babies in America. We're very underpopulated in the United States, as they are in Europe as well. And it's good for a public official to be able to say that we should be a welcoming country, welcoming human life and welcoming our own babies to this country and to this, to our future, because that is the future of America, are these little ones that we're going to send off to schools and, communities. Marianne Kuharski is our guest. The organization is Pro-Life Across America. They're not involved in politics, but if you are an expecting mother or a father and you're having debates whether to abort the child or not, and you want to have the child, Pro-Life America will help you have the child. That's
Oh,
their...
let me give you our hotline number.
Sure.
It's 1-800-366-7773. That's 1-800-366-7773. And we will connect them with the local pregnancy support group, or if they've had an abortion or they've paid for somebody's abortion or they're feeling guilty about participating in abortion, give us a call, 1-800-366-7773. We can get them in touch with post-abortion help as well. So whether it's emotional or physical, we want to help them too, because we know about God's love and God's mercy and God's forgiveness.
You get a lot of calls from people who say, I had an abortion and I feel guilty and can you help me?
We do. In fact, one of my best friends and a worker in in another state nearby. She's been a friend of ours and a worker for Pro-Life Across America and for 20 years. In fact, they had no billboards in her state till she heard me give a presentation one time. And she'd had 2 previous abortions and was in a very hurtful situation. And we've been friends, and she's been helping us as a volunteer ever since. So yes, we help those that, not all of them are my best friends, but we sure do everything we can to help them.
What is your biggest challenge of running the organization?
Money.
They say money is never a problem, only a lack of it is.
Well, I'm laughing because this has got to be, Zev, out of all the things I've done for pro-life, and I've been involved way before Pro-Life Across America existed, and I've done politics. I've testified in Congress a couple times. I've ran, political. I was a national delegate for the Democratic Party before I switched to work for Ronald Reagan. And I have to say, when you do something that involves spending money, sponsoring ads on radio or billboards or internet ads, it's got to be the most costly arm of the pro-life movement. I mean, we're just pouring money that people donated to us back into media ads. And, we try to get a nonprofit rate, and I do everything I can. I always tell some of our ad reps that I'm a mom of a bunch of kids, and I never paid full price for anything in my life. And I don't take a salary. I told God I'll do anything for this movement. I'm an adopted kid, and I came from an orphanage in Minnesota. So I'll do anything for this movement, but I never want to ask for money. Well, then now I don't take a salary. So it's easy to ask other people for money because I'm not benefiting from it. In fact, my husband and I give to this as well. So, we always say that 96 cents of every dollar, probably less than 3%, it goes for administrative costs. 96 cents of every dollar goes back into our ads to reach people. We call it a media outreach because we're reaching out to let people know, here's the truth about the baby before birth, and here's a hotline number, 1-800-366-7773, that they can call for help.
No, it's important. So I know you evolved politically. You're not involved in politics now.
Yeah.
So was it your upbringing that made you decide that you want to devote your life to making sure that life is saved and babies are born?
No, I was a selfish brat, Zev. I had my first baby. I had no intention of getting involved in anything political. I was happy with my life, and we didn't have much. We just had our first daughter, and a friend of mine called me up and said, well, gee, they're talking about legalizing abortion. So it was before it was legal in Minnesota, but it was legal in New York. And I said, I don't care about that. I'm raising we just had our new baby. And she said, are you kidding? How could you turn your back on something like that when you're an adopted kid? Look at you, you wouldn't be here. And I started thinking about that, and it kind of hit me between the eyes that I better get active. I never thought I'd give my whole life to it, but that was back in 1970. And so I've been active ever since.
Wow. No, it's amazing work. And do you have any idea how many babies were born because of your efforts?
Oh gosh, that's why I want to go to heaven, Zev.
This is your ticket.
God is full of surprises, and I want to know. Come on. I've met a few, and I've met a few mothers, and in fact, I've had.
Our guest is Marianne Kuharski. The group is called Pro-Life Across America. You were saying, Marianne?
Yeah, I just said I've been with some moms that have, had no one else to help them, through labor and delivery. And I've even had a couple moms live with me, but we'll wait till I get to heaven to find out if there's any more.
There's a Hebrew expression that he who saves one life as if he saved the entire world. Just saving one life is saving the entire world. You saved many worlds, many children. So that's an important concept,
You're teaching me now. This is the second Hebrew expression. I love it, Zev. I got to hang out with you. It's great.
No, listen, we in the Jewish community value life, and babies babies are also an integral part. You go to some very religious Jewish neighbors, you'll see 13, 14, 15, 16. I know somebody with 17 kids.
That's fabulous.
They
Wonderful.
love children, and it's
That's
part
right.
of the fabric of religious life. So, and and we see a callousness, unfortunately, in our country to human life.
That's right. And it's so true. The callousness is something that I think we all see, just even driving and people cutting you off or swearing at you because you didn't turn the way you were, fast enough or whatever it was. But there is a callousness now. And I honestly do believe it started when we could kill little babies that were defenseless. And if you can kill babies, then you can lie, you can cheat, there's so many things that we've kind of permitted, even the way the people dress and the impoliteness now, the lack of manners, the lack of civility that we have. I'm not pro-abortion, I'm pro-life, but I wouldn't mistreat the other side or call them vicious names or anything. We see this issue differently, and I want to pray for my opponents, but gosh, there is a lack of civility in our country, and I hope that we will return to that civility and to not only just standards, but to the 10 Commandments, Well,
listen, I think the pendulum
love
slips.
of thy neighbor.
No, love your neighbor, but the truth is we can't really speak to each other in this country today. There's so much hate, and if you're one political party, another political party, they can't really speak to one another. I hope that's going to change. And I think the pendulum does swing one way to another. It goes to an extreme right, goes to the extreme left. We got to find the middle ground, and hopefully we're going to find that, because we can't exist going on. And is a very positive message when you hear the children and the babies and the children singing. It's such a nice feeling, a warm feeling. I'm sure that's something which you hear a lot about from people that call you and say, hey, I'm calling you because I heard this such a cheerful, positive message.
It's funny you say that, because one of the things that it was kind of a surprise to us, we certainly have a lot of adults and even a lot of seniors that give to us. But one of the big surprises are all the kids that give to us. Some of them do car washes. Some of them do bake sales. We had a case of I don't have the letter in front of me, but a mother wrote me a letter saying that her husband had just been out of work. And so the kids saw one of our flyers in one of their church bulletins that we had. And so the kids, she had two little kids that were 11 and 9 years old. And they said, well, we'd like to give to this, to help these babies. And the mother said, well, we can't give right now because daddy's out of work. And maybe so the kids put up a lemonade stand, Zev, in their front yard, and they raised 80. They're from Marietta, Georgia. We never had a billboard there, by the way. And she said the kids wanted to raise this money to pay for a billboard. Well, you bet I put Minnesota money in Marietta, Georgia for a billboard for these two little kids that had a lemonade stand for 2 days in order to raise money to help babies. So I think there's something in all of us deep down, even our opponents. There's something about the vulnerability and the innocence of a little baby. I must say, once we started putting babies' faces on the billboards, our hotline call rose in the number of calls we got. And the same thing with, even like you say, the positive jingle that we have. There's something about hearing a positive message for life that will, as I mentioned to you earlier, we had a call from a woman from Portland, Oregon, who said, I had an abortion 35 years ago. I've never told another soul, but just the tenderness of your ads made me feel that I was welcome to call you and ask for help. So we want to help those people too who are hurting from previous abortions.
You're doing amazing work. Let's give out the information if people want to learn more about pro-life across America. Let's give a web address. Let's give a phone number if they want to contribute, or if they need any help, if they're contemplating not having a child.
Thank you, Joe.
So they should definitely contact you.
Okay, it's Pro-Life Across America. 1-800-366-7773. That's 1-800-366-7773. And our web is prolifeacrossamerica.org.
Give that web address one more time.
It's prolifeacrossamerica.org, and I'm Marianne Kuharski. And I ask them that please pray. If they can't donate, please pray for the next person that hears or sees our ad that they'll call our hotline number.
Marianne Kuharski doing God's work. The organization is Pro-Life Across America. They're helping women, families, not just women.
Yep.
If they're contemplating not having a child, having an abortion, they can help with a bunch of resources. Continue God's work. Look forward to having you back again.
Thank you, Zev. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you for tuning in to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast, the pulse beat of the Jewish community.
For continuous Jewish programs, TalklineNetwork.com, or our 24-hour-a-day listen line at 641-741-0389. For past shows, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, Instagram, and all major podcast platforms, or jewishpodcast.org. Thanks for listening to the TalklineNetwork.com.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Great job. What I was going to tell you, maybe I can put you, I'll try to get the